Howdy folks, I'm Drowsy Docs, dreamily drifting beside deep, darkening waters.
I'm Amber.
And here are more darkening waters for us to be darkened into. And folks, I just want to say that next week I'm actually taking the week off from recording. I am just trying to get my voice back into order for some reason. It just has not been able to fully recover from me straining it. We will be back on the 17th. So we're looking forward to seeing you then. We will be recording the rest of this week, but next week we are out. All right, folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Not Helping a Student of Mine After He quote-unquote stole my customer? I'm an artist who makes and teaches students how to make stained glass windows. One of my students found out that I was about to start a window for a couple that he knows through another friend, and then convinced the couple to drop me and go with him to make the window. I had already drawn a quarter-size sketch to see if it was something the customer wanted, and now my student expects me to draw out the full size and actually help him make it. It's too large to work on in class. We've always had a maximum size limitation, and this almost doubles it. Working on a window this size would displace another student. Also, I'm supposed to store the window week to week so that he won't have to lug it back and forth home since it's so large. Am I the jerk for telling him that he can't be working on it in shop and that I'm not drawing a full-size pattern, 57 inches by 34 inches, for him? I told him that he could have a copy of the sketch. Win or lose, I plan on showing him this. All right, folks, what do you think?
Absolutely not the jerk. Honestly, OP, you are underreacting. Your student is being hugely entitled, and he stole work right out from under you. There is nothing wrong with telling him that you're not going to draw this sketch for him and that you're not going to help him. He decided that he was going to go ahead and do this. He can't expect you to give your free time and labor for this endeavor.
You know, it'd be one thing if the student actually had approached him and said, hey, I would really love to be able to do this window for these friends of mine. I just want to show them my talent and stuff like that and how much I've progressed in class. Would you be willing to let me do that? And then they could work out some kind of time and schedule for when he could come to the shop to work on this, right? But the fact of the matter is that he just assumed that everyone would be just fine with the situation and he would be able to do art that he didn't even design, right? And so I think that that's a pretty poor planning on his part here.
Well, that's it. It's basically a theft here. Like, he wants to take all OP's hard work and just use it as his own and have OP actually helping him with the project, because this is something he can't do on his own. It's his mess to deal with now. OP is not in the wrong.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Referring to My College Situationships as Ex-Boyfriends? So I'm a 23-year-old female, and I've been with my boyfriend, a 25-year-old male, for about 7 months. Today, we met one of my college friends for lunch and drinks. For some context, I went to college out of state, so my boyfriend doesn't know most of my college friends or much about that part of my life beyond what I've told him. While we were talking and reminiscing, my friend made a comment about how strange it was seeing me in a serious relationship because she and I had always been the single ones in our friends group. I didn't really think anything of it, and lunch seemed completely normal. However, during the drive home, my boyfriend suddenly asked, Why have you been lying to me this whole time? I was caught off guard and asked what he meant. He said that whenever I talked about the men I dated in college, I referred to them as ex-boyfriends. According to him, my friend says that I was always single, proved that I had lied about those relationships. I laughed a little because honestly I thought that he had misunderstood. I explained that both statements were technically true. My friend and I were considered the single ones because neither of us had long-term official relationships during college. However, I did have a few men I dated pretty seriously. We never formally had the boyfriend-girlfriend conversation, but we spent most of our free time together, went on dates, called and texted constantly. We met each other's friends and slept together. Because of that, I've always referred to them as ex-boyfriends, instead of giving my current boyfriend an entire explanation about how it was basically a relationship without a label. That apparently made things worse. When we got home, he got out of the car and slammed the door. I followed him and asked why he was so angry. He said that I should have been honest and accused me of intentionally calling these men my boyfriend because I was ashamed to admit how many people I actually had slept with. This really upset me. It isn't like I had dozens of random hookups, and I have never lied to him about my sexual history. These were people that I dated for extended periods of time, even if we never officially defined the relationship. I understand that ex-boyfriend may not have been the most technically accurate term, but I genuinely didn't think there was a meaningful difference. He believes that I deliberately misrepresented my past and is now questioning whether he can trust me. Am I the jerk for referring to men that I seriously dated in college as ex-boyfriends, even though we were never officially in relationships? All right, folks, what do you think?
No, not the jerk. And I feel like OP's boyfriend is making way too big a deal out of this situation. Sometimes relationships don't have, like, people don't want to give them clearly defined labels, but that doesn't mean that they are insignificant. It seems like OP's boyfriend is getting really hung up on something fairly minor. Like, it sounds like they had all the hallmarks of a relationship without putting a label on it. I don't understand why he is so hung up on this, but it may be worth re-examining whether you want to be with someone who is that concerned about the exact state of your past relationships.
I think he's fishing. I think he just is looking for a reason to end the relationship because he's unhappy for one reason or another. Like being pedantic over such a minuscule thing, I think is absurd. If it came out that she was lying about something pretty serious, then I could understand him being, wanting to sit down and talk about that. But the fact that he's reacting like this, and throwing temper tantrums over the fact that she was dating men, like just because like she wasn't, in an official relationship doesn't mean that she wasn't dating men, right? She went on dates, she had technical boyfriends, but again, like she said, they just weren't official boyfriends. And why muddy the issue? Or sometimes it's just easier to explain away, oh, this guy, he was an ex-boyfriend of mine or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Or, oh, this guy, I was dating him seriously for a little while. I mean, I think that, again, it just seems like he's picking here. And if he's picking this hard at this, then there might be other deeper issues, or he's just, unsatisfied with the relationship. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Will I Be a Jerk If I Refuse to Go Back and Pay for a Pizza After They Charged Me Twice? I ordered 2 large pizzas, some fries, and some garlic knots. It cost $48, and I gave my card information to pay over the phone. My boyfriend went to pick it up on his way home from work. They told him that I didn't pay for it and charged him $51. I called the shop, and they asked me to hold for a while they transferred me to their manager. The phone rang for a minute and was disconnected. I called back, and this happened 3 more times before I finally started snapping, and I threw a bit of fit over the phone. They asked me to hold on again while they got a hold of the manager. I told them that if I got disconnected again, I would show up in person. They transferred me, the line disconnected. I got in my car and I drove over to the shop. When I pulled into the parking lot, I got a call from the manager. I told him that I was already here and to come over and talk to me at the register. He told me that he was working from home and that he would be able to resolve it over the phone. I put the phone on speaker and I started talking to him and the lady at the counter. I showed the transaction from both cards. The manager said that he would void out the first transaction. I asked why I paid $48 and my boyfriend paid $51. We were both using debit cards. The lady behind the counter asked to see, and I showed her the transaction on both cards that were used. She said that she would refund the one that was the higher cost. I thought everything was resolved. I apologized for getting loud and thanked her for helping me out. About 10 minutes later, I'm just getting home and the manager calls me again. He asked me to go back to the store to pay for the pizzas because he voided the first transaction, but the lady behind the counter refunded the second, so I didn't pay. I looked on my account and the credit did come through for the $51, but not for the $48. He said because it was voided, I needed to wait 3 to 5 business days for the pending transaction to drop from my account. But in the meantime, I needed to come back and pay for my order. He told me that I was stealing and either needed to come back or provide my card information to pay for the order. At that point, I did not feel comfortable giving them my card information again. And I didn't feel like it should be my responsibility to drive back again to rectify this. I told him no, and he said that he would post me to their Facebook page as a non-paying customer, which they have done before for Dine and Dashers or people who have stolen DoorDash orders. I have a receipt that states that the transaction was paid for. As of right now, the transaction is still pending in my account. But even if the transaction is removed from my statement, I feel like I shouldn't have to go back there after I had to call 4 times and show up in person for them to even try to explain why they told my boyfriend I didn't pay and have him pay a second time. Will I be the jerk if I didn't go back to pay for the pizzas? All right, folks, what do you think?
No, not the jerk. Honestly, the way this business is run sounds very, very unprofessional. Their expectations are completely unreasonable. They should have, one, not hung up on you repeatedly. Like, if you were charged twice for a pizza, that should be something easy for them to verify on their system. They shouldn't need to like call in all these different people and then demand you come there in person. And if they then messed up and like took it off twice, like they've messed up enough at that point in time. Like you always could offer it like after it's removed from your account, like after the charge is removed from your account, you could offer to pay if you really wanted to, but like I don't think it's worth it at this point in time.
Well, I think what OP should do is get ahead of the curve here. They should post a review on the page explaining what happened, and then if they post on their page being like, oh, OP tried stealing a pizza, it just looks like they're just trying to sully OP's name. So OP should post a review explaining exactly what happened and also post on their page with the receipts and stuff like that saying, hey, this company, watch out for this company, they try to scam you, blah blah blah, right? And then when other people see this, they're going to be like, oh, hey, this is really weird. But I think that OP isn't wrong in this situation. It sounded like a very frustrating situation. And at that point in time, this is on them. It's not an OP's fault. It's a them fault. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Going Off on My Sister for Backing Out of Childcare? My husband and I, both 37, got asked to go to the Bahamas with another couple. Free room, just need to pay for the flights. Neither my husband nor I are in speaking terms with our parents, so I asked my sister the next time she was at our house if she would stay a week to watch our 2 teenage daughters. This was months before the trip. She's married, no kids by choice, and lives an hour away, but works in our city every day. She said that she would. Fast forward to now, and she has backed out of the commitment. She says that she was recently diagnosed diabetic, and that she isn't comfortable watching the kids now while she is trying to manage this. Because if her blood sugar were to unexpectedly crash, she doesn't want to risk it happening around the kids. I went off because now we may have to cancel the trip, and we've already bought the plane tickets. She said again that she'll only be dealing with diabetes management in a couple of months by then, so she feels that it will be too new to her and too big of a risk to be the only adult there. It's not like my kids are little, they are teenagers. Am I the jerk for being angry at her? And to add, she's not on insulin, she takes a pill twice a day now. The pill is metformin, and the doctor is apparently not even requiring a finger stick yet. So it's not much to manage, in my opinion. I feel like this is more of a mental thing for her. All right, folks, what do you think?
Yeah, OP, I would say that you are acting like a jerk in this situation. I understand being frustrated that things have changed, but your sister is dealing with a new medical condition and does not feel that she would be able to properly care for your kids and is concerned about having a medical emergency around them. Now, it's that your kids are both teenagers, so do they even really need someone watching them, or is there one of them old enough that they could stay home by themselves for this time?
Yeah, if they're young teenagers, then I can understand OP not wanting to help leave them to their own devices. If they're 17 and 18-year-olds, then I mean, maybe leaving them to their own devices is fine. Tell them not to throw any parties. Good luck with that. And, go on their vacation there. That reminds me of the old trope where, the parents would leave the kids alone in the house for like a week while they went on vacation. Do people even do that nowadays, leaving their teenagers alone in houses?
I don't know, but like, I mean, I wasn't, they weren't gone for like a week, but I remember the first time I had to stay home. I was a teenager and my parents like left me home alone overnight and I was freaked out. Nothing happened, but
Yeah.
like,
I mean, kids have to grow up eventually, and if they are independent, old enough to be on their own, then that's one thing. I understand OP's frustration, but if the sister doesn't feel comfortable enough in this situation, then I can understand that as well. It does sound like she doesn't really require a whole lot of management here, so I understand OP's frustration even more. But again, like, this is a new medical condition and she might be really concerned, and there may be a good reason why she's worried, because maybe the thing that got her into the hospital in the first place to get tested for diabetes is if she passed out or something like that, right? So it might be that she doesn't need to take insulin, but she might still need to eat like certain sugary foods or other things to kind of keep her blood sugar up. So she may not be necessarily comfortable knowing how to manage, those snacks and everything like that still. So I understand OP's frustration, but maybe they can find somebody else to take care of the kids. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here. And Amber, she has a joke.
Why did the teddy bear say no to dessert?
Because it was stuffed.
Yep.
Ah, ha, ha, ha. And I have a special guest tea, some throat coat tea. So, yeah. And folks, today is a very special day. It's Throw a Wild Party While Your Parents Aren't Home Day. Please don't do that, and if you do, I am not liable or culpable for your poor decisions. Party on Wayne, party on Garth. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy terrific Tuesday, spelled TWO. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it on paying for pizza.
You should pay for your food, but if a company is being super shady, then you don't have to engage with them anymore.
Yeah, probably something like that. But thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.